Hi everyone. I got a lot of questions last time, so I'm going to start off with the questions that I received last time. So one of the questions was, how long does it take for an I-130 for unmarried daughter to be approved? Priority date is January 1st, 2023, applied by a U.S. citizen. So I don't know if this is F2A or F3 category. If it's F2A, it will take about 9 to 12 months. If it's F3, it could take about almost 3 to 4 years. If someone is in asylum pending status and would like to switch to another visa, is it possible? Maybe. If you've been maintaining another visa in the background, so for example, if you're on an H-1B and you filed for asylum, then you might be able to if you have an active I-94. But if you've just been on the pending asylum alone, it may not be possible unless you're switching to another humanitarian visa, so like a U visa or VAWA. Okay, and I see some other questions coming in. My spouse's I-130 was approved on October 15th, and now it goes to the NBC. How long does it take to get the interview? In India, you're a U.S. citizen. So after your case has been documentarily qualified by the NBC, you should see about a 4 to 5 month wait time before they get called in for an interview. That's what we're seeing for Mumbai. How much time will it take for F2B visa interview? That depends on your priority date. So I would check the final action date for your specific category, for your specific country, and see what those dates are looking like. Can my mom's younger sister sponsor me on an F4 visa? No, F4 is only for siblings of U.S. citizens. What is the timeline for sister sponsoring brother for green card? Priority date is March 2019. Right now it's taking about 15 to 16 years for, I think, all country chargeabilities. You're in the U.S. on an F1. Can you file asylum? Well, technically, asylum has to be filed within 1 year of entry into the U.S. However, if you can show that your circumstances have changed, meaning something has changed in your home country for which you need to seek asylum now, or you had a situation that was outside of your control, like you were really sick and you really couldn't get this application in on time, then you could still file. It's ultimately the government that's going to make the decision on that. Can you call with questions? Yes, our office line is 732-379-4866. You can speak with our office and they will let you know if we can assist further. Can you please tell us about the O1 visa? Yeah, so O1 is for those who can show exceptional skills in their field. This could be business, arts, in science. There's a list of criteria listed out by USCIS. So you have to be able to meet at least 2 of 7 in some cases or 3 of 7 in others. But basically they're looking for media publications, authorship of articles, if you've won any awards, if you've played a critical role for an organization, things like that. If someone witnesses a small crime and call the cops, can that be used to apply for a green card? Okay, so for a U visa, you could technically be eligible if you're a witness, but you have to show the harm to you. So if by witnessing this crime, it's caused you severe, emotional harm, for example, you could possibly be eligible for a U visa. It's ultimately going to be the police department, whether they want to certify you for the 918B. What are the green card chances for a foreign trained dentist in India, US after completing DDS? Well, it depends on which category. So, an employer can sponsor you under EB2 or EB3. Perhaps you might qualify for EB1, depending on whether you fall under EB1A or EB1C if you're opening a practice in the US and you have one in India as well. How long does it take to reschedule your visa interview if you missed one in India? You need to contact the embassy and see if they can go ahead and reset your appointment date. I've seen wait times of anywhere from like 3 to 4 months for rescheduling. Thank you for all the content. You're very welcome. Thank you. You live in Canada. Is there any possibility to get an H1A? I need more details. Can a small business around 2 to 3 employees sponsor me for an H-1B? Yeah, a small employer can file for your H-1B. For H-1B, what you need to prove is that there is a need for this position in that company. So as long as the employer can prove why they need to hire someone for this position and how your profile fits that requirement, meaning it is a specialty occupation, you could qualify. How long does it take for the F4 visa? Right now, it's 15 to 16 years from the date of filing the I-130. Why are there no appointment slots for visa interviews in India? If you're talking about non-immigrant visas, you have to check regularly. So if you're looking for like a B1, B2 slot, embassies are dumping new interview slots all the time. You may also want to check frequently to see if there's any cancellations, but there is a long wait time for the non-immigrant visa categories. What's the odds of getting a work permit approved, as my request got denied the first time around as I lost my job? Well, if your work permit is based on like a pending application, if that's what you're asking, you're going to have to show extreme hardship, so extreme financial loss resulting from not getting your work permit. But ultimately, it's USCIS's call. Financial hardship is weighed the least, unless you could show that like that would result in more harm, like you wouldn't be able to pay like your medical bills, or like you may be unhoused due to not being able to get your work permit. RFE response for I-140 received to USCIS 155 days ago. Is that normal? No, that sounds like it might be outside normal processing times. I would check the official processing times and see if it's outside of that, and then file a service request. U visa applicable for a victim of crime in the US? Yes, and we're also currently doing free consultations for anyone that may think that they qualify for a U visa, a VAWA, or a T visa. So you can just give our office a call at 732-379-4866, and you can speak to our intake team, and we could see if you're eligible, and if so, this month we're doing free consultations for those cases. I'm working on, let's see what other questions you guys have. Me and my wife just married a year ago in the US. Citizen, can I file for her citizenship? You can file for her green card first. She needs to be a green card holder first, then be on the green card for 3 years, and then she's eligible for citizenship. But yeah, you can definitely apply for her. Can I apply for a green card if I'm a Canadian citizen? Anjali, you have to find the basis for filing the green card. So either has to be through employment, investment, through family, or through a humanitarian visa. But yes, any nationality can be eligible for a green card, but it has to fall under one of these categories. My husband has been an F1 student for a couple of years, and his renewal was rejected twice. What are his chances of getting a F2? I'm also an F1 student living in the US. Why is he applying for renewal? Is he at the embassy? I would see if there's any issues with the program that he took in the US, whether those were legitimate, has the school kept their accreditation. If all of those things are fine and he's just being denied on a very discretionary basis, then he should be okay for the F2. How long for marriage-based green cards? If you're married to a U.S. citizen spouse, here in New Jersey, we're seeing processing times of anywhere 6 months to about 12 to 15 months. Other states, the processing times can vary. So like if you're in California, we see slightly longer processing times. On average, I usually like to quote clients like about a year. If it comes sooner, that's great, but that's not always the case. Will the F2A category speed up after the election? That's really hard to say. The F2A category is largely dependent on how many visas get used up every year. So it has very little to do with who might be elected. That just depends on how many visas are getting used up in the other categories and how many can be allocated to F2A in one fiscal year. I'm married and undocumented. Can my U.S. citizen mom apply for me, and how long will it take? Yes, your mom can apply for you under the F3 category. However, you may want to check the wait times for your specific country of origin where you were born. So it could take several years, maybe a decade, but she can apply for you, and you'll probably need a waiver. My parents are green card holders and have filed I-130 for my brother who turned 21 yesterday. Do they have to make any changes to his filings? No. If they filed for him while he was under 21, he will be protected under CSPA, so they should be able to freeze his age and still process him as a child, not an adult. Can we change a green card interview if change will get the new date around? I think you mean, can you push out an interview date? Yes, as long as you give USCIS a good explanation as to why you cannot attend. If you sponsor someone and they get a visa, come to the US, get green card, is there a way to withdraw affidavit of support and send them back to their home country? No. So that affidavit of support, if you're talking about the I-864, that is a contract with the U.S. government where you are committed to sponsoring this person for up to 10 years or until they become a U.S. citizen, or at least until they've earned 40 working quarters, so whichever happens first. Now, if you're talking about the 134 form, the other affidavit of support, that's for non-immigrant visas, and that's not as binding. So yes, you could withdraw that one. My visa got canceled at the port of entry and the officer to reapply. If I reapply, can I get the visa again? It would depend on the reason why you were denied. So, I would look at things like, were any of the terms of your visa violated? Did you overstay? Are you barred from entering for a few years? All of those are considerations. Can you get a green card before a priority date becomes current? No, only if you can upgrade your priority date. If you file 526 and 45 concurrently, is there a chance to get the green card before the 526 gets approved? No, the 526 will be approved first and then the 45, or they'll be approved at the same time. How hard is it to get EB3 for Indian nationals? It's not so much about how hard it is, but how long the wait is. So you might be able to get employer sponsorship, but the tricky part is that, you have to maintain some sort of visa here in the US while you wait for this priority date to become current. And right now we're looking at like 12 years and, people have cited that it could become much longer. It could be decades as time goes on. My husband got his green card through marriage, but he applied for a general 5 years. Since he's okay, did the general for citizenship, is that okay? Also, how long after fingerprint to get the call in? You didn't finish the question. If you waited the 5 years rather than the 3 years for your citizenship, that's perfectly okay. You don't have to file based on marriage alone. Right now, citizenship interviews are taking anywhere from 5 to 7 months, depending on where you live. L1A versus EB1C. So here, L1A is a non-immigrant visa. So that allows a company to bring an employee from abroad in a managerial or executive capacity and work here in the US. Now, EB1C is a immigrant visa. So that allows you to get a green card through your position that you held in the foreign company and the US company. So you could be here on an L1, and if the company decides, hey, we want to keep you permanently here, they would pursue your green card through the EB1C. What to do after graduation in F1 if I'm not able to get a job? This is a really tough one. I talk to students all the time about similar scenarios. So like if you're on your OPT or STEM OPT and you're about to max out your time, a lot of times there's not many options. If you can't get H-1B sponsorship or you can't get selected in the lottery, we explore if you might be possibly eligible for an O1 and we can have an employer sponsor you for that. A lot of people that I speak to, they end up just going back to school and pursuing higher studies, but that's not always feasible, especially with the rising cost of education. We also refer people out. Sometimes they want to look into other options of immigrating to other countries. So we could refer you to someone else that might be able to, assist you in that. Unless you have other options that open up to you, like through investment visa, or if you do have a family member here in the US that can sponsor you. What's the processing time for green card after I-360 is approved? So after your WAWA is approved and you have a pending 485, you'll want to look at the final action date for the category that you applied under. So for you, it would be F2A. Right now, it's about like a 2-year wait time before the final action date becomes current. How long will it take to get a green card? through marriage these days. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, it's about 6 months to 15 months. If you're married to a green card holder, it could take about 3 years or so. What are the requirements for EB-5? Well, that's very generic. Are you applying at a regional center? Are you applying in through your own investment that you're making? And if it's your own investment, is it in a targeted employment area, metropolitan statistical area? So all of these considerations would change how we would apply, how much you need to invest, and how soon you can apply for that 485. I got an interview date last year for my I-130. I couldn't attend and apply for rescheduling. How long will it take? They're usually pretty quick. If you request a rescheduling, we usually get it within a couple of months. Will I get the EAD earlier too? Like, in how much time after putting I-140 and 765 together? I'm so sorry. I don't understand your question. If you're asking if you're filing I-140 and 45 together, based on the pending 485, your EAD usually comes within 3 to 4 months max. Can we change a green card interview date? Yes, you can. You just have to provide USCIS with an explanation, like you're sick, you can't take off work, you're traveling. Just make sure you explain why you need that date to be moved out. How can I update the I-130 after getting citizenship? Okay, so if you're updating your category from, let's say, F2A to IR1, immediate relative, you'll want to write a physical letter to USCIS with a copy of your receipt notice, letting them know that, hey, I've naturalized and I'd like to change my category. I would also recommend you include a copy of your naturalization certificate so that they have it for reference, and USCIS will update it. What's our location? We're located in New Jersey, but we work with clients in all 50 states. How much time does it take for a U.S. citizen parent to file for unmarried child? Is the child under 21 or over 21? That will determine the category. Can I file VAWA from outside the U.S.? My wife is a U.S. citizen and I got married in America. So for VAWA, the abuse has to take place in the U.S. So if what happened to you took place in the U.S., then yes, you can apply from abroad. The only exception to that rule is if your spouse is part of the U.S. Armed Forces or a member of the military and was stationed abroad and you were there and that's where the abuse took place, then you can apply. But otherwise, the abuse needs to take place in the U.S. for you to file. If approved for advanced parole in a marriage-based case, what should be the ideal time to be outside the U.S.? So the advanced parole allows you to travel. There's no time limit or how many times you could use it. For my clients, I always recommend short, quick trips because in the meantime, while your 45 is processing, if the officer decides to waive the interview requirement and approve you, they cannot approve you while you are outside the U.S. You have to be physically in. So what they'll do, they'll send you a letter or your attorney a letter, or they'll reach out to you saying that, you know, we're ready to approve your case, but you need to be back in the U.S. So I don't plan long-term travel or extended travel while you have a pending 485. How long does it take to get a work permit once you file for VAWA? Well, it depends on how long it takes to get your bona fide determination. Right now, it's on average about 6 months. As soon as you have your BFD on the VAWA case, then you should receive the approval on the EAD within a couple of months. Okay. How much time does it take to get a green card through L1? I assume you probably have your employer filing through EB1C. You'll have to check your country of birth and how long the wait time is. For example, if you're an Indian national, about 2.5 years before you get the green card. Can you please tell me how long the wait is after you apply for the waiver and removal of conditions? Processing times are about 12 to 16 months right now. Your F1 was canceled, 5-year ban. I want to enter legally. So you need to wait out your 5 years, and then after that you can reapply. But you're going to need a very, very strong case as to why you should be readmitted back. The embassy is not very favorable in the cases where your visa has been canceled prior. Wife has a PR in Canada and she's trying to book a visa interview at the consulate, but they're booked up to 2 years. Yes, Canada is extremely backed up for visitor visas to the US. If she has citizenship in a different country, I would consider traveling back to her home country since she's a PR in Canada and seeing if the wait times are a little bit less there. You could also request a expedited interview if you feel like this falls under some sort of emergency. They might be able to move it up. I have a PhD with 120 citations with H1B. Can I be eligible for an EB1A or EB1E? So for EB1B, you do need to be in a research or you need to be a professor for at least 3 years before you're eligible, and it is employer sponsored. So that could be if you meet those requirements. For EB1A, you'll have to supplement, in addition to the citations, a few other things like, have you played a leading or critical role for an organization? Has there been media publication about your work? Have you won any awards for your research? Things like that. Okay. When Trump wins, is it true that F1 visas can apply for a green card? No. Folks, my practice was there during the Trump era, and it was just a mess. Immigration was a mess. And then when the Biden administration came in, everything was flipped around. But at no point did we see him or his administration being more flexible towards F1 visa holders. If anything, non-immigrant visa holders who applied for a change of status in the US to an F1 and were denied were placed in removal proceedings if they didn't timely file an appeal or depart the US. So if anything, you could probably see that policy being a lot stricter. Is it possible to get a green card with a misdemeanor? Yeah, it might be possible. It depends on what the charge was. I would talk to an attorney just to make sure that you qualify. H1B max out date is June 26th. No perm filed. Can I switch to F1 and then work and file perm if I-140 on H1B later? Yes, that's usually the route we follow. So you could switch over to F1. Sometimes people do an F1 day 1 CBT. Keep in mind, it has to be a legitimate program at an accredited university and it has to be related to your field of study. But yes, you could wait out your time on F1 and then convert back to an H1 later. You'd still be eligible for that extension. 485 question about my visa denial. F1 visa rejected twice before, but approved spring of 2016. What should I say? Exactly that. If you were denied under 214B, not being able to show enough ties to the US, shouldn't be an issue. Okay. I see a lot of people asking about criminal charges. So I don't do criminal immigration. If you would like a referral, just give our office a call. I'm happy to send you a referral in like New York, New Jersey area. A few of my colleagues might be able to assist you, but I don't do specifically criminal immigration, so I might not be able to answer those questions. You applied for your sister in 2013. Any idea how long it'll take? So if you applied under F4, I would assume another like 4 to 5 years. Okay. My friend had overstayed his visa for 5 years and then got deported last year, but he married a US citizen for more than a year, but haven't applied anything yet. Is there any way to be back? No. So unfortunately, your friend does carry a 10-year bar, and on top of that, they've already been ordered removed. So when their US citizen spouse applies for them, they're going to need 2 waivers. You're going to need a 601 and they're going to need a 212. And they both can be applied together, and they will have to wait out their time abroad. But that 10-year can be waived, but they will have to go through the waiver process. Okay, let's see what else. You're on a STEM OPT and planning to go to India. How risky is that? It depends. Are you towards the end of your program? If you're traveling like in the last month and, you know, there's no reason why you need to be back here to finish your program, you could be denied entry. So I would see how much time is left on your visa. My friend is an asylee, but he's graduating with a MS degree. Will he be eligible for EB2 NIW? So he can apply if he's eligible for the I-140. The issue is going to be the 485. In order to be eligible to adjust status in the U.S., you have to show you've maintained an I-94, which he won't be able to do if he is just on a pending asylum, unless he's been maintaining the F1 as well. Child born in the U.S. but under 21, possible process for your parents. Nothing in addition to what already exists. So you have to maintain your own visa status independent of the child. You're welcome. Happy to answer your questions. I think I already answered this. Wait time for 751 is about 12 to 16 months. Okay. I'll just take a few more before we wrap up today. I'm a U.S. citizen. I just got married in Algeria to a woman, and I have to go back to the U.S. and start the process to bring her here. What should I do and how to start, please? Okay, you're going to start with the I-130 process, which is the petition for alien relative. Once you legally registered your marriage there, you would file this application either online or paper filing. Once it's approved, your case will then go to NBC. You do the rest of the visa processing and affidavit of support there, and then the file gets moved to the local embassy where your spouse lives, and they'll process her visa interview there. If you'd like assistance, feel free to give our office a call. We do a lot of these cases. You have the incorrect birthday on your EAD card, and what should you do to get it corrected? So you could actually mail it back to USCIS if the typographic error was due to their error, and they can mail you back a new card. I applied for asylum, got a work permit, no update in the case, no court date. What's the next steps? Unfortunately, just waiting it out. The immigration system is heavily backlogged. We're looking at like wait times for like almost 4 or 5 years for these interviews, so you just have to hang tight in the meantime. I'm on F1 visa. How many chances if I file asylum on the basis of LGBTQ? Well, that depends. The severity of the persecution in your home country. Are you applying within a year? And then your personal declaration of everything you experienced in your home country. Can U.S. child help stay in the U.S. until they come to age? No, you have to maintain your own visa status. Is it possible to change the status from F1 setting to someone who wants to sponsor for employment-based green card? Yeah, so you can have an employer start your EB2 or EB3 process while you're still on the F1. That's not a problem. What you'll want to check for is the visa availability. So for some countries, it might be available right away. Others, there might be a wait time. So if that's the case, you'll want to see what other visa options you have in the meantime while you wait for the green card under the EB2 or EB3. Also, EB2 and EB3 do take 2 years for the PERM process. So the prevailing wage determination, PERM, and I-140 will take about 2 years before you even get to that green card stage. When should one fill out the CSPA form for unmarried children age 26 before the interview? So there's no actual form, it's just a calculation. And the calculation is you take the date that your I-130 was approved for the main beneficiary, and then you take the date that the application was filed. The time between the date is the number of years, months, and days that you can subtract from the derivative's age at the time when the visa becomes available. So for example, if someone filed in January of 2010 and got the approval in January of 2015, that's exactly 5 years. If the child is 26 years old and the visa became available, let's say November 1st, 2024, you calculate how old are they exactly, years, month, days, and subtract that time. And if their immigration age is under 21, they qualify. And then you can send this calculation to NBC as proof that they still qualify. Ultimately, it will be the consular officer that makes that decision, but the age does get locked as long as they start pursuing that visa. Can you help us in filing EB1A? Yes, my office does do EB1A filings. Please email us or call us at 732-379-4866, or you can email us at info@immigrationvision.com, and we'd be happy to send you a eligibility screening form to make sure you qualify, and only if you qualify, then we'll go ahead and do a full consultation on how we can move forward. I keep getting the same question, so I don't know if you're getting my answer, but what is the wait time for 751? It's 12 to 16 months. I think most of these are answered. I applied for a green card through my spouse in February and haven't gotten a green card yet. If you're in the US and doing the adjustment of status, it is 6 to 15 months for most offices. But ultimately, I would look at your local field office and see what the processing times there are like. How long does it take for DACA to be able to travel? If you've already applied for an I-131, it does take a few months for that to be approved. I would check the official processing times, but I know it is taking about like 5 to 8 months right now to get that travel document. After getting the labor certification, can I file I-140 and 765 together? No, 765 can't be filed with the I-140. I-140 goes alone. The 765 can only be filed with the 485, which is your adjustment of status. So you have to wait until your visa date becomes available for filing. How long does it take from your sister's green card? Probably 15 to 16 years. Can I apply for U visa after 1 year of incident, which happened to be at gunpoint? Yes, you can. You need to go ahead and get the certification. Now, the certification, make sure it's not expired. So I would get the certification renewed if it's been more than a year, but you can still apply for the U visa even if 1 year has passed. We are currently doing free consultations for U visa, so if you'd like to give our office a call, we can evaluate your case and give you further instructions on how we can go about the certification part. How to correct birth date on my EAD card. I just received it last week, but the mistake was by me. Then you'll have to apply for a replacement card, and there may be a fee for that if the error was due to your typo, but you can file for a replacement card. How long would it take to shift my H4 visa to F1 in the US? If you do premium processing, 15 days or so. Regular processing can take about 3 to 6 months. Can I marry a US citizen while on an F1? Yes, you can. And then you would undergo the adjustment of status process, which takes about 6 to 15 months. Okay, these are really great questions, and I would love to answer all of them, but unfortunately we are running out of time. I do these lives every Thursday at 10 a.m. So the earlier you log on, I will try to get through all the questions. Thank you so much. Just as a reminder, my office is currently doing free consults. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So for survivors of domestic violence or any crime, we're offering free consults. Just give our office a call at 732-379-4866 or email us at info@immigrationvision.com. We're happy to do a free evaluation to see if you qualify. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.